Imagine it's 1961. The Cold War is at a literal boiling point. The CIA is losing sleep because they can't hear what the Soviets are whispering on park benches. They've tried bugs, they've tried long-range mics, nothing is working. Then, some guy in a suit, probably caffeinated on way too much filter coffee, looks out the window, sees a stray cat, and says, "What if the cat was the microphone?" Now, in a sane world, everyone laughs and goes to lunch. But this was the 60s. Instead, the CIA said, "Here's $20 million, make it happen." Welcome to the story of Project Acoustic Kitty, the most expensive, most ridiculous, and shortest-lived spy mission in the history of espionage. To understand how we got here, you have to understand the tech of the time. We're talking about an era where a computer took up an entire room. But the CIA's Directorate of Science and Technology? They wanted to go full-on cyberpunk. They didn't just want to put a collar on a cat. That's too easy. They wanted the cat to be the hardware. So, they hired a surgeon, whose name is still redacted, by the way, to perform a literal Frankenstein operation. Here's the build list for a 1960s spy cat. First, a 1-inch transmitter shoved right at the base of the skull. Second, a hidden microphone tucked deep inside the ear canal. And third, the antenna. This is the best part. They literally ran a wire from the head, under the skin of the back, all the way down into the tail to get better reception. Imagine being that cat. You wake up from a nap and suddenly you're a walking radio station. But they ran into a problem immediately. Cats are, well, cats. They get hungry, they get bored, they see a bird and forget about the Soviet Union entirely. The solution? More surgery. They actually went back in and adjusted the cat's neural pathways to suppress its sense of hunger. Because apparently, the only thing standing between the United States and total victory was a hungry feline looking for a saucer of milk. Now, if you've ever tried to get a cat to do anything, you know where this is going. The CIA spent the next 5 years, yes, 5 years, trying to train this animal. They had handlers trying to teach it to follow people, to sit still near conversations, and not to wander off into traffic. Victor Marchetti, who was an assistant to the director of the CIA back then, later described the project as a total nightmare. He basically said they created a monstrosity. Think about the burn rate here, $20 million in 1960s money. If you adjust that for inflation today, we're talking nearly $180 million on a cat. For context, you could buy a fleet of fighter jets for that, but nope. We wanted the bionic kitty. By 1967, they finally thought they were ready. The equipment was tested. The cat was programmed. It was time for the big leagues. This is it, the climax, the Mission Impossible moment. A gray van pulls up on Wisconsin Avenue in D.C., right across from the Soviet embassy. 2 Russian officials are sitting on a park bench, probably talking about nuclear silos or whatever Soviets talked about in 1967. The agents in the van are sweating. They check the frequencies. They open the side door. They nudge the cat out. "Go, kitty, save the free world." The cat hops onto the pavement. It looks at the bench. It takes 3 steps. And then, out of nowhere, a yellow taxi comes screaming down the street. Total silence in the van. 5 years of research. $20 million of taxpayer money. The world's most advanced surveillance technology. All gone in about 7 seconds because of a DC cab driver who probably didn't even see the spy crossing the road. The agents had to literally go out into the street and scrape the technology off the asphalt so the Soviets wouldn't find it. Talk about a bad day at the office. You'd think the CIA would be embarrassed, right? Well, they were. They officially scrapped the project in 1972. But here's the kicker. The final internal memo was actually quite complimentary. They basically said, "Look, we proved we can put radios in cats. That's a win. It's just not really practical for the field." The document stayed top secret until 2001. When they finally came out, the world realized that for a brief moment in history, the US government was basically a group of mad scientists trying to win the Cold War with bionic pets. But hey, next time your cat ignores you when you call its name, just be glad it's not carrying $180 million of government hardware in its tail. If you enjoyed this dive into the weird side of history, hit the like button. I've got more stories about the time the US tried to use pigeons to guide missiles. Yeah, that's a real thing. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.